everyone. Can you hear me? Oh, great. Excellent. Well, first of all, thank you for coming, because I'm competing with the headliner at this session, Richard AUAD. So you obviously couldn't get in, and you've come here instead. So I really appreciate that. But it's going to be worthwhile, I promise. So before I start, I'm going to show you a never-seen-before bit of content, okay? Just to warm you up to the talk today.
When I was a lad, this may seem odd, I tripped a fish finger's prime fillet of cod. Bird's eye fish fingers have been such hits, cause they're real cod fillet, never full of grey bits. And they're bigger than most and tastier, that's why I am the captain of the fish finger. They're bigger than most and tastier, Bird's eye is the captain of the fish finger. Bird's eye cod fish fingers, you can't get your fingers on finer fish.
Okay. You can't put your fingers on finer fish. It must be true, because Captain Birdseye said it. And the reason I said you probably haven't seen that is because it was probably before many of us here were born. That's from the 1970s, and we're very lucky to have Captain Birdseye. He's an incredible brand asset to have, and 3 years ago he was in the Grocer magazine. He was voted actually the #1 brand mascot, ahead of the Duracell Bunny and the Pringles, Julius Pringle and many others. So he's a guy we really cherish, and has really paid dividends for us over the years. So, what's today about? Birdseye's about tea time, right? And actually, when I read through this title again, I cringed a little bit, because everyone wants to link with Gen Z and appeal to younger audiences. It's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? But I'm gonna show you, actually, it's not a cliche, and for us, it's quite a serious topic, actually, strategic topic, because this is Birdseye. I don't know how many of you have had this sort of meal before when you were kids. Okay, or maybe you've served it to your children, but this is your classic Birdseye. You've got your fish fingers, you've got your peas, and you've got your waffles. Which, two things on waffles: #1, you can toast them, yeah. So that's for free. And secondly, they're waffly versatile. Okay, they go with everything. Okay, and we love this, and the business was built on this, and this is what pays the wages, and we're always going to love it. It's our core. However, things are changing. Okay, so if you look at that Captain Birdseye ad that you just saw from the 1970s, this was how life was then, right? So childhood, so Birdseye's very strong here, between the ages of 3 and 9, say. Then they get a bit too cool for fish fingers, they want to move on to more grown-up things. And then there was quite a short pre-family period, 5 years, before people went into the family stage, and then they come back here and buy Birdseye food again. However, recent years, people are they're having less children, and they're having children a lot later. So there's this extended time, it's gone from 5 years to 11 years, where we're not catching consumers. And this cohort is quite low on Birdseye. You're talking about 10% of our buyers are in this cohort. And why is that important? So, firstly, when you look at the index of our buyers, we really over-index on family meal times, on families with children, 107. With pre-families, we under-index, 97, okay? Over a third of meals with this audience feature frozen food, and it's far lower with pre-families. Now that would be fine if this was stable or growing, but it's not. This, as part of the population, is declining. So now it's about a third of the population, families with children, but because people are having children later and fewer children, the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be less than 30% of the population. Meanwhile, pre-families as a population cohort is exploding. So since 2009, 30% more pre-families, whether that's single, couples without children. So if we don't start to address this, we become less and less relevant. Thirdly, the way that people are eating is changing as well. So this is the number of snacks eaten daily by different age cohorts. So you can see, boomers, one snack per day. And the younger you get, I think I'm here, Gen X, I think I don't quite fall into the millennials. But as you get to pre-family, there's more snacks, there's more informal eating, more light meals. And our food tends to be more main meal, tea time food. So how do we adapt to that? And food culture has changed. This is how things were, right? And I'm not saying this is not relevant. There is a big, solid, huge number of occasions here, but it was very much convenience-driven, safer choices, less scrutiny, and there is more adventure now. People discovering more trends on food, on social media, they're traveling more health conscious, they're looking for different things. So this is our core, but we can't just rely on that alone. So, our answer to that is to shortcut is quite simple. It's chicken. Why is it chicken? Because everyone loves chicken. So firstly, it's now the most popular meat in the UK. Okay, overtook beef about 3 years ago, and 96% of households buy chicken in a year, and it's growing. Secondly, there's all the trends around taste. People love chicken because it's a very accessible taste, and you compare it with anything, very versatile, and you compare with exciting flavors. But there's also the health trend, right? We've all heard about the protein trend, and chicken is booming, driven by that trend for whether it's people trying to lose weight or going to the gym, or post families actually trying to maintain muscle mass. Thirdly, there's the growth and popularity of QSR. So if you look at the chicken part of that, it's incredibly popular and it's grown, and we've gone from KFC to Wingstop and Popeyes and loads of other sort of chains. So it's becoming more and more culturally relevant. And chicken shops are really at the heart of British culture, whether it's chicken shop dates, Amelia de Moldenberg, so I got it right, or the chicken connoisseur, right? It's something that especially young people reference and cling onto. So it's something that we can build on. And then the other fact though is if you look at in-home habits and what people are eating, so this is the growth of different types of meals since 2020. So you can see the fastest growing in-home meal is actually chicken with chips, chicken with other things. It's grown massively, 150 million more occasions. So the reality is there's a bit, because people can't afford as often to eat out or Deliveroo and these kind of things, some consumers are opting to eat in more and replicate that idea of a fakeaway in home. So that's where Chicken Shop came in. So Chicken Shop was a brand we actually created first of all during COVID, when people couldn't get what they wanted in out of home, and we were there to try and help and fill the gap. But we've created this vision to be the #1 frozen chicken fakeaway brand with Chicken Shop. What's the concept about? Well, it's very much around targeting this younger audience that isn't engaged with frozen food and creating a flavorful chicken fakeaway that creates your favorite meals. Made at home, in your air fryer. That unlocks a hell of a lot for consumers now, in a relaxed setting, while you're either on your own or with friends, playing, gaming or watching movies or whatever it is, and really creating emotionally that Friday night feeling in the home. So this was the range. We created a new visual identity for the range. You can see it's very kind of vibrant and bright and more modern than our traditional Bird's Eye products, and really spent a lot of time on the semiotics and the naming and the flavors. So you can see flavors like honey sriracha or buttermilk chicken tenders. So really modern, really vibrant range, really to try and tap into that fakeaway, takeaway experience at home. And also, by the way, healthy as well. So all these products, non-HFSS, because we manufacture them to be controlled for fat and salt and all the rest of it, in line with the rest of the Bird's Eye range. So product, getting the product right, coatings, formats, flavors, the naming. Then we had to really move away from our conventional way of how we talk to this audience, which was something quite new for us actually, more of that shortly. all the way into in-store and how we execute within the supermarkets. So just to touch on some of these things, well, when we relaunched this range, the first thing we did is create our own pop-up chicken shop. I think it was around here, actually. It's way too trendy around here for me. But, you know, the younger members of my team sort of led this, and they did a fantastic job. And we created this as a kind of concept for it. So our chicken shop is always open, because by having these products on hand in your freezer, you can enjoy them whenever you want, and they're always there. And then the other thing we did, we partnered with a guy called Wes Nelson. This is me out of my comfort zone. So he was on Love Island, and he ended up, he was on lots of other reality TV shows, and was also a singer as well, a pop singer. I sound so old saying that. So here's a little video of that event, actually. Okay, so you can see quite a departure for Bird's Eye, actually, and what we're used to. So this was really quite outside our comfort zone. But we got Wes Nelson. We also employed a whole group of influencers, which we called the Cluck Collective, to kind of amplify. We ended up having a reach of about 72 million from that week, from all those events, and really drive awareness of this range and this launch with a important audience. The second thing we did, which was a first for us, was tap into gaming, because a lot of our target audience is games, right? So we signed a year-long gaming partnership with EAFC, you know, FIFA, essentially, the world's biggest football game, for 1.7 billion impressions. So you can see in-game, you know, you had the advertising on the hoardings and just creating that awareness with gamers. And we're actually the first UK FMCG brand, because we're not a global brand, right? But now there's that ability to just advertise with in-game geocached in the UK and Ireland. So that was a first for us, and we've done that in other markets as well. And then we partnered with a range of gaming influencers who also advertise and push our range. I think about 8 or 9 gaming influencers, another sort of 15 to 20 million of impressions. So really reaching a new audience. Of course, you know, we had a more holistic mix as well, out of home, which we invested a lot in university campuses, for example, and, you know, TikTok, both, you know, our own content and native content through the Creative Exchange, and then Instagram. But, you know, with a different tone for Bird's Eye, you know, hotter than your ex, or dunk it like it's hot. Just introducing a new kind of language for the brand. And then finally, and importantly, all very well driving that awareness, but then people need to find it in store. So we negotiated with some of our retailers to create like a chicken shop within the freezer aisle. So fully branded, a full bay. This was in Tesco specifically, 500 Tesco's for a year, where they grouped all the products together, and you could buy across the range. You could buy a couple of chicken packs, but we had some potato packs as well, corn on the cob, this kind of thing. And then we deployed retail media, both in e-com and also, I mean, here's at the beer aisle, right? So digital media, just to bring awareness. All right, you can get your pack of beer and Moretti and fill up on Chicken Shop, and that's a great night in, right? So, you know, what was the results of this? Did this succeed? Well, I mean, so far it's doing very, very well. So from a sales point of view, we've achieved 30 million of retail sales from this launch. And since we did this activity and relaunch last year, we've grown the penetration of this range by nearly 30%. And actually 24% of the people buying it are new to the brand. They weren't buying Bird's Eye before, and now they are. And then critically, if you take, I mentioned earlier, total Bird's Eye, only 10% of the buyers come from a pre-family Gen Z audience. Of all the new buyers of Chicken Shop, over a third, nearly 40% of the buyers were from that new audience. So, I said earlier, I cringed a bit at, we want to appeal to Gen Z. But this is a really good example from the team who ran this of identifying an issue, developing a proposition, and then executing it really well and attracting the audience with great results. So what's next for this range? So we'll continue the campaign. We're evolving. We'll be evolving it. We're working on new creative platform with our new advertising agency, who happens to be sponsoring this stage, but that's a coincidence as far as I understand. We have the Cluck Truck, so look out for that. That's visiting festivals around the summer and big events to drive trial. Then we have the next round of innovation, absolutely delicious. Things like spicy Korean tenders, so really tapping into new flavors and chicken fries, nacho jalapeno. You get the idea. So how do you keep it fresh and how do you bring new innovation? And then the other thing that we're looking at is brand-to-brand partnerships, because that can create, when you clash, if you look at the sauce aisle, I love the sauce aisle in store, there's so many exciting brands, right? So how can we bring flavors, partnering with those sauce brands to create more conversation around this range? And then the other thing that's kicking off in 2 weeks, we're actually starting to sell this in the in-store hot counters. So with one of our major Big Four retailers, they're actually going to be selling, this is a first for us, you can actually take it away in the hot counter and enjoy it at home, ready, prepared as well, which is, just selling the brand in a new channel. So that's it, reasonably short and sweet. Just some learnings, because, what can we learn from this? So firstly, legacy is a strength, right? And we're very, very lucky to have all of the trust that comes with a great brand like Bird's Eye and Captain Bird's Eye, but only if you evolve. If we don't change, if we don't move with the times, we become increasingly irrelevant. Linked to that is modernization. So it's not an optional thing, it's a strategic imperative. Our consumer set is slowly shrinking, right? It's becoming and if we don't react to that, we'll shrink. If we don't appeal to new audiences, we'll shrink with it. And that pre-family stage is such an important moment for attracting, for them people come on to be, for those who choose to become families as well. And then thirdly, deliver products and experiences that authentically resonate. It's so easy to get that wrong, but the team working on this spent days in all the great what a job that is, in all the great chicken shops in London to really understand the language, the formats, the flavors, and how to tap into that. And, that influenced the media as well, which, it's not too, well, I hope you agree, it's not trying too hard. It's just being authentic. It's people can connect with it, and younger people have connected with it. So yeah, that's it. So thank you very much for coming, and I hope you enjoyed that.
We have one question, and we
okay.
have got time to ask it. Hurrah.
Yeah, sure.
So was it easy to push this new marketing approach, which is, as you said, quite a departure from the direction you were in before, within the organisations, and what was the main blocker or blockers?
To be honest, there was no blockers. The only blocker was not having enough experience of doing it. So there was zero. It's something that leading marketing for the business, I encourage. I want to see more. I want us to take more risks, and I want to see more of this stuff. But if you haven't got experience of doing it, then you're outside the comfort zone, and what normally works and what delivers ROI and what's safe can dominate. But we're fortunate that we had a great team. The person leading this was herself a Gen Z, young, was one of our younger marketers, very talented, and she had the energy and drive to drive it through the business and did a fantastic
Amazing.
job.
So you had investment all the way through the finance team, operations,
Yeah, absolutely,
the works.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a nice thing to hear.
Yeah.
Not always the case.
No.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Steve. And a big round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.